Click below to subscribe to CinemaSins or to buy How to Train Your Dragon. Before we get on into this, I have to tell you something. After finishing the script for this video, I noticed that the original Sins video had been taken down. I can only assume this is due to a copyright claim. Normally, to try and prevent this from happening to me, I would replace a huge amount of the video with still images and put them in black and white. But I don't know how to do that on my new editing software, so I guess just please don't sue us. Oh, and also I'm very sorry, but I still haven't figured out fully how to do a proper sin counter, so instead of at the top of the screen, it's going to be in the middle. Yeah. The audio on the title card appears to be broken.
How does the DreamWorks Fisher Boys sit on a crescent moon? The rest of the moon is still there, right? I want to know what happened to the moon. And is the Earth dead yet? And I don't care if you have bait that gives fish orgasms. Fishing on the moon usually yields negative results.
Negative results? I mean, I could see him getting no results, but to get negative results, you'd have to be catching some kind of anti-fish.
Oh, and that's fish legs, snot lout, the twins, rough nut and tough nut.
Wait, am I supposed to know which one is which?
From this? No, I don't think so.
Somehow, in this uber badass culture where even the weakling kid works with a blacksmith and has the biggest badass father of them all, this kid still grew into a wimp.
Well, yes, that can happen.
I see a dragon and I have to just kill it.
That's another thing. Maybe I can see this kid growing up a wimp. Maybe. But somehow developing a Jay Baruchel accent instead of the Scottish accent these Vikings apparently possess, even though Vikings are Norse?
You seem to suggest it's weird that Vikings are given a Scottish accent. Your justification being that Vikings are Norse. Why would they have a Scottish accent? They're not Scottish. But I personally would say that it's not weird, since the nearest English-speaking country to the Nordic nations is Scotland. So if you're going to make English-speaking Vikings, a Scottish accent makes perfect sense.
Excuse me, barmaid. I'm afraid you brought me the wrong offspring.
It's like someone at Pixar just got drunk, watched this movie, swapped a gender or two, and Brave was born.
Yeah, just swap a couple of genders, the setting, most of the plot, and you've basically got the same film. I mean, they are both animated movies with Scottish people in them, so they're basically the same, right? Also, shouldn't that sin really have gone in your Brave video rather than in this one? I was going to add a missed sin here because historically Vikings didn't actually have horny helmets, but then I realised that Vikings also didn't fight dragons or speak English and thought maybe this movie is deliberately taking some liberties with history here.
Now who's with me?
Today's not good for me.
Is he the f***ing leader or what? Why is he even asking permission?
I mean, you know, maybe this is like a democracy. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah? Or, you know, maybe Stoic is just a good leader and doesn't want to do anything that's against the will of most of his people. Maybe that's what's going on.
You didn't hear it, but the subtitles tell us that someone just said, I have to do my axe returns. The filmmakers were wise not to make that audible.
That sin was funny.
Goes hunting for trolls. Trolls exist. They steal your socks.
If all trolls do is steal socks, why are we so afraid of them that we name our children stupid like Hiccup just to avoid them?
What he said was, trolls steal your socks. What he didn't say was, all trolls ever do is steal your socks, and they never ever do anything else, ever.
Gronckle will now waste inordinate amounts of time hawking a fire loogie so that he can be saved at the last second.
You used the word he in this sin to refer to Hiccup, but you hadn't previously referred to Hiccup, so you can't really use the word he to refer to him.
A dragon will always go for the kill.
Except during this training session.
And except for lots of other times too. This obviously wrong statement goes into the whole message of this movie, that the Vikings are wrong about the dragons and need to put their prejudices behind them. It's like you weren't even paying attention.
Our parents' war is about to become ours. Figure out which side you're on.
Okay, Astrid seems like kind of a dick. He's clearly on the human side. Just because he's terrible at dragon fighting doesn't mean he wants to see all humans killed. Jesus.
But I mean, dicks exist. Plus, Astrid being a dick in this situation really fits into the message of the film again because it's a part of her prejudice that she eventually unlearns.
So, I can see why people are afraid of smaller things like snakes and spiders, but why would a dragon have any reason to be afraid of eels? Ever?
Well, as you already mentioned, humans, which are a very dominant species, are afraid of much smaller creatures like spiders and snakes. Creatures having irrational fears is a thing, and there doesn't always have to be a reason behind it.
He can barely walk through the village without being swarmed by his new fans.
That's another thing. Hiccup's popularity is such that I don't understand how a big fan of his hasn't secretly followed him to his hideout to see the dragon training.
First of all, Jeremy, you have 7 million subscribers. More than 7 million subscribers. But I would be very surprised if you told me that you couldn't occasionally sneak off to the woods without your fans following you. You should know as well as anyone, being popular does not mean that people follow you to the woods. Secondly, he is later followed to his secret hideout by Astrid, so this sin doesn't even apply.
Finally, You'd think someone as suspicious as her would have figured this out days ago.
Ah yes, Hiccup has been getting really good at dealing with dragons recently, so the only logical solution must be that he's been going to the woods where he has a secret fugitive dragon pet that he's been learning from. Obviously.
Some, not me, are wondering if there is in fact a plan at all, and what it might be.
Find the nest and take it.
At first, we sinned the fact that this unquestioned leader had to go to council. Now that we know there's a council, since when can Stoic just do whatever the hell he wants?
Perhaps they're a council of advisors. Or perhaps when he's not in a furious rage like he is now, Stoic usually likes to take the will of the people into account when he's making his decisions. Many things are possible here.
Why hasn't Toothless chewed or laser-breathed his shackles off yet?
Because his head is very obviously restrained. Like, you can't miss that. Just fucking look.
Happy ending, but don't dragons live for hundreds of thousands of years? This is actually a tragedy if you think about Toothless Lonely and on his own for decades after Hiccup dies.
Dragons are fictional. They can live as long as the writer chooses for them to live.
This is actually a tragedy if you think about Toothless Lonely and on his own for decades after Hiccup dies.
Alone for decades? You just said that dragons live for hundreds of thousands of years because you got that from somewhere. If they're living hundreds of thousands of years, they're going to be alone for way more than just decades. So, that's it, although there is an end segment coming up. The sin total was 17 sins, and the punishment will be, I don't know, combustion seems appropriate. Yeah, let's go with that, combustion. And now, an end segment. Today, we're going to be asking a very important question, which is, in this one frame, how much does Toothless look like a cock? Begin the analysis! Analysism complete. Conclusion. Toothless moderately resembles a cock. A little bit. Our vital research is done. Science! So, I hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry it was a little shorter than usual, although they may be a little short until Christmas comes around, depending on how things go. Bye!